Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of City Notes. In this video, I will be showing you all the filming locations for How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. I know it's another millennial rom-com, but this one is one of my favorites, so I could not pass up the chance. This film was released in 2003 and was primarily filmed on location around New York City. Some of the exterior and interior shots of the movies were also filmed in Toronto, Canada, either on location or in a sound studio as well. As usual, this video does have some spoilers, so please be aware if you haven't seen the film yet. Starting from the first moment we meet Ben at his office building, we see him riding through traffic crossing an intersection at Madison Avenue and East 26th Street. He then stops in front of 51 Madison Avenue. This is actually the New York Life Insurance building. It is an iconic building with so much old school New York history. It is considered a remnant of the neo-Gothic architecture movement that inspired many of the high-rises in the city, especially during the mid-20th century. On to Times Square, where Andy's office building is. Quite the opposite from Ben's, no? The exterior used for Composure magazine, where Andy, Michelle, and Janine worked, was 151 West 42nd Street, right between Broadway and 6th Avenue. The facade of this building and even the buildings around this have gone through several redevelopments over the year. When the movie was filmed, this particular building had an awning, which was then removed a few years after. An iconic and well-known location, Madison Square Garden is where Ben and Andy go on their first date to see a Knicks game. Later in the movie, they are once again seen exiting, but this time from the theater after a Celine Dion concert. Both the stadium and the theater are located inside. This is another building and area that has gone through several renovations since 2003, so it looks quite different on the outside. You can actually book a guided tour of the building, but the price is anywhere between $50 to $100 depending on the package that you buy. Moving on to Ben's apartment, I believe the interior was a sound studio. However, the exterior that was used in the movie, or featured in the movie, was 133 Mercer Street, located in Soho. You cannot mistake the cobblestone streets and the fire escape that plays a big role in the movie. Another fun Ben and Andy date was when they go see Sleepless in Seattle together. The exterior of Cinema Village Theater, located on 22 East 12th Street, is featured in this part of the movie. However, the interior scene where Ben gets into a fight was shot in a theater in Toronto. Fun fact about the Cinema Village is that this was an old firehouse before it was converted into a movie theater. Ben and his work buddy Thayer debrief over Ben's date disaster at Christopher Park. They can be seen walking from 6th Avenue along Grove Street before entering. Christopher Park is right across the street from the Stonewall Inn and became part of the National Park Service in 2016. It is the epicenter of LGBTQ+ civil rights movement in New York City. We never see the inside of Andy's apartment. However, in the movie, she's dropped off by Ben at 43 5th Avenue on the corner of East 11th Street. The facade is also seen 2 more times, when Ben picks up Andy for his work event, and again as she packs her suitcases in a taxi to leave for the airport later in the movie. This is a residential building, so please be mindful if visiting. Moving on to some of the more iconic locations, Ben takes Andy to his work event to fulfill the terms of his bet. The exterior of the Alexander Hamilton Custom House, located at 1 Bowling Green, was featured in this part of the movie. We see it at the beginning of the scene when they arrive, and at the end when they argue over the terms of the bet and her magazine article outside right by the Bowling Green train station. I am not sure if the interior of the custom house was used for the movie, but you can visit this building. It is actually the National Museum of the American Indian, which was established in 1994. This museum is free of admission and it's open daily. The last and final scene in the movie where Ben reconciles with Andy over her magazine article takes place on part of the Manhattan Bridge. Now, I was not going to drive across the Manhattan Bridge and pull over because that's dangerous. However, there are ways to cross the bridge. One is through a pedestrian pathway and the other is via the B, D, N, and Q trains. I decided to do the pathway to show you the beautiful view of the skylines and, of course, of the Brooklyn Bridge. It is free to walk the pathway and you can start either in Brooklyn Heights or in Chinatown. Saving the best for last, this movie was filmed on location in Staten Island and on the Staten Island Ferry, so of course I had to make my way there. Starting with the ferry, it is free to ride the Staten Island Ferry depending on which you get. Sometimes there are 2 levels or 3 levels on the boat. You get a great view of Lower Manhattan and New Jersey skyline, as well as the Statue of Liberty and Governor's Island. This footage is from 2 separate days that I rode the ferry because it just wasn't enough. Andy and Ben are seen returning to Manhattan on the ferry, and I wanted to share some of the views of Manhattan as well. The ferry is operational year-round with specific departure times, so plan accordingly. Once I got to Staten Island, I hopped on the S51 bus to get to the South Beach Boardwalk. The scene where Ben teaches Andy how to ride the motorcycle takes place here. The boardwalk starts along the south side of the Verrazano Bridge right off of Ocean Avenue, and it continues south along South Beach and Midland Beach. This area is a local favorite and it is open year-round to the public. Last but not least, we cannot forget the scene where Ben and Andy get splashed by a mud puddle. This scene is cute and actually one of my favorites. It was filmed right by Buono Beach and the Alice Austin Park, which is on the corner of Edgewater Street and Clifton Avenue. This is on the north side of the Verrazano Bridge, and fun fact, this area used to be called Lover's Lane because couples would stroll along the beach and throw coins into the ocean, making a wish. That is it for this episode of City Notes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It has definitely become one of my favorites that I've done so far. I have also created this one-page theme that lists the top 5 places in the movie, which are featured here as well. I will put the link down below if you're interested. Thank you again for watching. Till next time, everyone.